Welcome to Jet Hoist Safety Training. My name is David King. I'm an end-user specialist for Jet. My job is primarily to train people on the job site. Today we're going to talk about some of the different types of hoists you're going to see on jobs: lever hoist, chain falls, and electric hoist. We're going to talk about some basic maintenance and inspection, as well as best practices to operate these hoists safely. With correct knowledge and training, a hoist can be a great way to get a job done very quickly and efficiently, but without proper training, it can be a very dangerous tool. The goal is simple: to help you and the other people you work with stay safe when using hoists, and also keep your equipment in good working order. Unfortunately, each year injuries and fatalities occur due to unsafe practices with these hoists. The National Safety Council estimates about $27,000 per accident, as well as potential punitive damages in the millions. Many hoist-related accidents could be prevented with proper training, inspection, maintenance, and rigging techniques. Don't think of training as an expense, but as an investment in your people and your equipment. OSHA requires that only competent people operate and maintain their hoist. You become competent through training. In this section, we're going to talk about the three types of hoist that we're covering in this training: lever hoist, chain falls, and electric hoist. Let's start with lever hoists. Lever hoists are able to pull 360 degrees as long as the hooks are aligned. Lever hoists are commonly used in shipyards, metal fabrication yards, with industrial contractors, on oil rigs, and with construction companies. Next, we have hand chain hoist, otherwise known as chain blocks or chain falls. Hand chain hoist operate in many of the same environments as lever hoist, but are only used to lift vertically, as opposed to in other directions like a lever hoist. Lastly, we have electric hoist. Like the hand chain hoist, this only lifts vertically, but is electrically driven and has a pendant control which allows the user to stand away from the load, ensuring safety. Now that we've covered the three most basic types of hoist, you should be more familiar with their job site nicknames and their uses. Now we'll talk about some of the technology behind these hoists and some of the components that make them work. Let's start by talking about the two main types of brakes that we see on hoist: the fuse disc and the three-piece brake. The one-piece fuse brake system actually has the brake pads attached to the ratchet here. This reduces friction between the ratchet, the brake pads, adding durability, decreasing friction, reducing swelling due to humidity, and decreasing downtime due to maintenance. The three-piece brake is the industry standard and has two brake pads on the side of a ratchet, much like brake pads on the wheels of your car. These need to be replaced periodically, as they do tend to wear down a little bit more than the fuse brake. It's also important to keep these free of any dirt, debris, or moisture that would wear the pads out faster. There are two different styles of pawl on the market: a single pawl and a Weston dual pawl. The difference between the two is that the Weston dual pawl has two pawls on opposing points 180 degrees on the ratchet, ensuring that it doesn't slip. Let's talk about the two most common types of hook that we're going to see on our hoist. The first is your standard alloy hook. This is designed to bend before it actually breaks, giving you a visual indication that your hoist is overloaded. These types of hooks are meant to bear weight in the center of the belly of the hook, as opposed to the point. If you do have a situation where you want to point load a hook, we make shipyard hooks that are specifically designed for that purpose, to pull against flat materials. Shipyard hooks are great anytime you need to pull against a flat surface or don't want to use a sling. So if you're a welder pulling plates together, you could use two shipyard hooks to catch on the flat sides and pull. The benefit of the point loading on the shipyard hook is that it keeps your hooks aligned even if you don't have weight in the center of the hook belly. Now let's review some best safety practices for inspecting and loading your hook. Always check the hook before you start lifting. Never use a hoist if either the hook is stretched, deformed, broken, or has a missing safety latch. Never load the hook in front of the safety latch. Never load the hook off of the center line of the belly. Never load the hook sideways. Never load the hook tip unless you're using a shipyard hook. Always refer to your owner's manual for safety measurements. Let's talk about the two types of safety latches on our hooks. You have stamp steel and cast steel. The difference between the two is that cast steel is not able to be manipulated back into place if the latch is damaged. This keeps you in compliance with OSHA because you're not able to manipulate the latch back into place after it's been damaged. Always check your latches before lifting. Never replace the cotter pin with a nail, welding rod, wire, or any other material. Always replace the safety latch and/or hook before placing the hoist back in service. Now more than ever, it's important to protect your employees from dangerous situations such as overloading. Overloading is what happens whenever you exceed the lifting capacity of the hoist. This is a violation for OSHA and is very dangerous and is a very common type of hoist failure. Some hoists have overload protection, which is a slip clutch mechanism that engages once that hoist has been lifted past its rated capacity. Overload protection is a great technology because it helps reduce human error on the job site when lifting. Choosing the right type of chain for your lifting application is very important. The two industry standards are grade 80 and grade 100, which is based on a strength rating. Grade 80 chain has a black oxide coating and has great corrosion resistance. Grade 100 chain has superior energy absorption. When operating a hoist, it's always important to remember these key things. Never use your chain as a sling. Never allow your chain to set over sharp edges. Never use a choker hold. The chain stop must be attached to the second to last link on the slack end of the chain. Never replace the chain with any chain other than that from the manufacturer. If you notice any deformation, kinking, or other damage to the chain, make sure you have it replaced by a certified technician. Remember, it's important to familiarize yourself with the owner's manual to find any information you may need, such as the types of hooks and latches you're using, the grade of chain, any available overload protection features, and the rated capacity of the hoist. This will help you familiarize yourself with the hoist you're operating. At this point, we'd like to talk about some do's and don'ts when operating your hoist. It's important to always refer to your owner's manual if you have any questions. Here are some pointers for inspecting your hoist before use. Always inspect the hoist for damage prior to use. If the hoist is damaged, do not use it until it's been repaired or replaced. Always take time to study the job to be performed and choose the safest method and the best hoist for the job. Never use a hoist to lift, support, or transport people, or to lift or support loads over people. Do not attempt to extend the lever handle of a lever hoist by using a cheater pipe or any other such device. Do not strike the lever handle of a lever hoist with a hammer or any other object. Do not operate a hoist when the load is not centered in the belly of the hook. Replace any warning labels if they become obscured or removed. Never paint over your hoist. Do not allow the chain or hook to be touched by a live electrode, and make sure you prevent any weld spatter on the chain. Never exceed the rated capacity of the hoist. Remember, leave all internal maintenance and inspections to a certified service technician. In this section, we're going to talk about maintenance and service, including terminology and types of service. It's important to have both frequent inspections, which occur every day before using your hoist, and periodic inspections, which are required by OSHA at different intervals. OSHA recommends a quarterly inspection to look at the internal function of your hoist and make sure it's still operating appropriately. OSHA requires an annual inspection where you have the hoist recertified under its load rating. In addition to that, you want to do a daily inspection before you use your hoist, looking for any external damage or wear. There are 3 categories of use that determine inspection periods: normal, heavy, and severe. Make sure to reference your manual to find out which of these usage categories you fall into. Thank you for your time today. Always remember to refer to your owner's manual and to OSHA standards anytime you have a question about the safe operation of a hoist. Our main goal is to have you work smarter so you can return home safely after your shift.